Good job, Amazon. Like, the Rings of Power, really? Were you even trying? Okay, well, yes, it was a catastrophic failure, but hey, there's one positive thing. You know what that is? Well, people are actually appreciating the Hobbit trilogy now. Well, just a few changes, but generally, yes, more people have kind of realized, hey, maybe we treated them a little too harshly. Maybe it wasn't so bad when you put it against the absolute catastrophic failure that was The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. Not excited for season 2, but we'll see. If you're interested in the Hobbit edit, just skip to the time code, like, go. I'm going to be talking about Rings of Power, how that relates to the Hobbit. To begin, honestly, I'm not much of a big film critic. I don't do in-depth analysis of all the characters. Really, when I'm judging movie, it just, did it make me feel anything? This did not make me feel anything. Yeah, there was no real emotional connection to the characters. The plot was meh. I just, like, didn't, okay, that's a lie. I did feel something when these two characters were on screen, but honestly, beyond just that, there wasn't very much. This makes me feel something.
Look, I know you doubt me. I know you always have. And you're right, I often think of Bag End. I miss my books. And my armchair, my garden. See, that's where I belong. That's home. And that's why I came back, because you don't have one. A home. It was taken from you. But I will help you take it back if I can.
This does not. It's very simple. That's how I judge movies. So for the rest of this is what the benchmark is. So if you're looking for this in-depth critical analysis of the ring, I'm not going to give you that. All right, so beginning, number one, disregard for the material. What is it with major conglomerations coming into some fandom and going, let's put a bunch of people who have never read or can understand why the original source material matters to the fan base. Like the Halo show, what was that? The Rings of Power is very much a similar situation where you have people that just don't really care about Tolkien. They're just trying to do a message. And, well, honestly, it definitely shows. From my perspective, as the film editor of my Hobbit duology, you can tell I'm not really much of a rules lawyer from my previous videos. Really what matters to me is that the plot functions, we have interesting character moments, we just more experiences within the world. It doesn't have to be rigid to the book. And that's very much how The Lord of the Rings was. If you read the books and watch the movies, you can tell there's definitely some differences, some liberties that Jackson took making them, but that is what helps elevate them beyond almost any other series, is that they do take liberties, which really helps them in that medium, where the Rings of Power didn't really have sort of any, it kind of had source material, is very fuzzy, so it's more lore that they're trying to build it off of. And just the way that they didn't, yeah, there's just, it doesn't really make sense. For the core themes of The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, I can boil it down to have mercy for your enemies, protect your friends, and fight the darkness that exists within all of us. Yes, there are many like religious and Catholic themes within the books, but generally these are experiences that we all face. The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, has none of these. What were they thinking? One, it's hurt those that have wronged you. Your kin are disposable. You can just use them to achieve your own selfish goals. And then, well, just cave into your desires anyway. It's like, it's not that bad, right? You won't hurt anybody else. They didn't have to have those same key sort of themes, but when it comes to epic fantasy, generally when you're talking about the Lord of the Rings, there's this sort of moral tone to it where you're trying to be better than yourself. And then these are just things that the Rings of Power are missing. They could have gone a different direction, more darker tone, but the themes, the ideas that they're trying to convey, there's no character growth, there's only hypocrisy. This is the real disappointment with the Rings of Power. All right, so for digging the ditch, gosh, what were you thinking? Like, as soon as the promotional material was released, or even like it was leaked or something, yes, there was backlash, but like the response to the backlash was so well prepared and fine that it's like, it's almost that they knew exactly what would happen. Like, here's a meme I made to explain the situation that every single company now seems to go through. Like for me, I couldn't care less. I get that it's the modern day, there's gonna be diversity, and all these things going on. And honestly, couldn't care because it's not something that really matters within the story, who you see on screen, whatever. What matters to me has always been the characters, the plot, the story, the world. Like, I'm a white dude that goes to university. Every week I'm told, hey, yeah, you and the rest of your ancestors are the root of all evil. And it's dumb, but I have to accept it and live with that because that's just how the modern world of the United States is nowadays. Yeah, couldn't care. But their response to when fans question them, hey, why are you doing this? This just doesn't really make sense. There's a reason why they're like this. Like, honestly, do I need to say it? Sexism, racism, they're bad. Oh no, the revelation of the 21st century. Like, because racism is lame. I judge people based on eye color. Now, the Hobbit films, you know what they did when they started? Yeah, they weren't happy with the feedback they're getting. Well, they acknowledged, hey, yeah, we ran out of time. There was a lot of issues with corporate taking the two movies and then squeezing them and stretching them as much as they can and adding in a bunch of filler to make it 3 movies because they found out that when they made $2 billion, they're like, oh no, we need to make another $1 billion. So they made a 3rd movie. Well, they acknowledged, yeah, that was kind of the case and that there wasn't enough planning. They didn't have enough time. They didn't have enough resources. And that's what they acknowledged. Yeah, that's kind of why it didn't turn out the way we wanted it to. The Rings of Power was just, we made a bad movie or show. What are we gonna do? You know what? Just call the fans racist. That'll work. They'll like that. Yes, those are all a part of it, but really the main reason why most shows fail nowadays is they just don't acknowledge that the audience is something where they have interests, they have certain wants, they have expectations, and they have an expectation both to have you enforce the ideas from the material, but also, hey, do subvert it in interesting and unique ways that follow along with their expectations. Because you gotta mix things up, yes, of course, but like taking it to the point where you're just, yeah, disregard, missing core themes, and then also just labeling them as toxic and racist or sexist isn't gonna get you anywhere. The show itself was very average, very mid. If you showed this to someone who's not really a Lord of the Rings fan, they would have been like, it's okay, it's not anything special. But to Lord of the Rings fans and Hobbit fans, you failed because, well, how do you try to meet their expectations. This is the main audience that you're trying to get to buy your product. And Amazon failed because they were trying to go for a different audience that really didn't care about the material. And this is also part of why The Hobbit failed as well. The expectations, they understood them. The issue though was The Hobbit, you already have an established book trying to follow the book, but they realized, oh, we need more content. Instead of trying to flush out character lines that had already existed, they tried it adding more and more material, which like, hey, that's cool when it comes to adding more lore behind the scenes to the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit, but when it comes to those specific stories, that is what we're interested in. These side plots, these side characters, extra love triangles that didn't really need to be there. Those are all things that expanded the worlds, but didn't expand and reinforce the current existing characters within our minds. This is where the Lord of the Rings succeeded. You have a massive, expansive world. Everything that exists there feels intentional. It all supports the story and supports the characters to make us, well, connect with them. The Rings of Power doesn't do any of this. We don't really care about the characters. They don't really make sense. They don't really have great motivations. They just do things. And then the world doesn't really make sense. They didn't serve the expectations of epic fantasy fans, where they want a big epic story, massive world that's immersive, that you can feel like you can live in, and characters that are real, and then magic and wonder. There wasn't really any of that within the Rings of Power, and that's why it failed. The Hobbit, well, that failed just because they tried expanding the world, but then you leave behind the characters and the story. Speaking of The Hobbit, hey, this is why you're here. If you skip to this part, well, okay, whatever. But if you're here to download it, you can follow this little guide right here. It's very easy. Please read. You just go to the Discord, you click the H thingy, you go to the chat, you download it. Or you can go to my Ko-fi page, Ko-fi, and then download it from there. Very easy. You're going to have multiple different versions, this being version 2.1. Now there's more subtitles that are encoded. There's also 4 different versions now. You have the original UHD versions, and then also the FHD. Now there's also a max UHD version, where it's basically just the raw export of what I'm working with without any compression. It's going to be the best version to watch, but it's also 100+ gigabytes. So yeah, if you can't seem to work that out, then I can see why. And the UHD version is just fine enough. But what I want to really talk about with edits, whether that's mine or someone else's, I'm trying to just make the best edit I can. Something that's cinematic, that flows well, that makes sense to people that are not only just Lord of the Rings and Hobbit fans, but people that are also just looking to get into it. Where do you start? Well, something that's basic, that includes, hey, versus just getting rid of all the ties between the Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings. Yes, it's technically more lore accurate since the Hobbit was written first. I kept some things in just so that you can have a more cohesive experience rotating between the two series. But when it comes to what is the best edit, what is the most authentic, which is one you should watch, well, that's really just subjective, because there really is no best edit. The best way to put it, yeah, there's no perfect edit, there's no the way it should have been. If you really just want to talk about what's the most original, you can always just watch the original trilogy of movies, then you're getting the most authentic experience. Honestly, if you don't like my edit, hey, go check out M4's edit. It's very good. If you can't tell between my V1 and my V2, took a lot of inspiration from that one. Thank you, M4. If you're looking just for a cohesive experience that you can watch between, you can show your friends, then, and you also want the highest fidelity version, then you can watch mine. But mine is by no means the best edit. There's never ever going to be a best edit. Other than that, Well, this is going to be the end of my Hobbit trilogy of videos on here on YouTube. If you're looking for updates to the rest of it, well, it's for real this time. For real, I am no longer going to make any more because there's not really anywhere else to go. Hey, it's Raven from the future. Sorry, I lied. There will inevitably be at some point a version 3.0. Yes, from the 2.0 to the 2.1, not much has actually changed other than just a few little things. But inevitably I will have to, if I want to actually really improve things such as the subtitles, Dolby Vision, and then HDR, all that, I'm going to have to completely rebuild it from the ground up again. So I do need to justify doing that as one, well, I have to make the edit again, and then also make another YouTube video sort of announcing it, whatever. And I have to justify that, as it'll probably take another 2 months of actual work, and then a lot longer trying to find those 2 months of free time. So what my goal here is, well, if you go to my popular page on the actual channel, you'll find one video, my Vex Mythoclast meme video, with nearing 200,000 views, and what I would like to do is dethrone that video and replace it with something much higher quality. So when it comes to justifying the creation, if I can get this video, something else, doesn't matter. If I could just have that video no longer be my most popular video, that would be awesome. Just working towards dethroning that. You know what to do, interaction, all that fun jazz. So other than that, thank you to everyone who has supported me. One final thing I want to say is, well, if you're a parent and you require your child to read The Lord of the Rings before watching them, I want to classify that as child abuse. And no, I'm not just saying that because my parents forced me to do that, but not my siblings. So don't get any ideas. All right, jokes aside, thank you. Back to you, Raven. Once again, thank you to all of those who have supported me on this unexpected journey in my life. Rebel against absurdity, and thank you for watching. To 24 frames to be more cinematic. Well, what I've done is I've reinterpolated it to 48 frames per second. If you can't tell, the past few moments of me have been interpolated. You know, the one they call Galadriel, well, she ain't got no life. She ain't got no friends. And she ain't got no man. I mean,